Hello lovely people, how are you all today? I hope you're well. I hope you're doing fine and fettle and enjoying getting stuck into a whole nother year. Yay! So now listen, it's cold and grey and damp outside. Actually I'm lying, it's not damp, but it's cold and grey. And over these winter months, when there's much less going on in the garden, it's the perfect time of year to turn our attention to some indoor projects. So what I thought today that I'd share with you, I've been asked about this loads and loads and loads, and I've kind of covered little tiny bits in videos here and there, but I'd like to do much more of it all with you this year. And that is to talk about, well, in general, reducing our use of plastic and reducing our waste, but specifically today I'm going to talk about reducing our use of plastic in the bathroom and reducing waste in the bathroom. So I'm just going to show you some really simple swaps that I've incorporated over the last few years, which I find, like I say, really easy. You know, a number of years ago, it wasn't so easy. And when I first decided, I can't remember how long ago it is now, maybe 4 years or so ago, I decided I was going to try to live completely plastic free. Let me tell you, it was quite tricky. Not because I wanted to buy plastic, but so many things I still needed to have involved some level of plastic. Quite often, packaging rather than the actual goods themselves. But like I say, I think things have become a lot easier in the last few years. There's much more of a consciousness about our waste these days. And something I mentioned, I think it's when I was doing the beeswax wraps video last year, early in the year, there was a programme on TV showing just how hideous our waste is when it gets into the sea. And I'm so glad it was voiced over by David Attenborough, because it made it really mainstream. A lot of people watched it, and I think a lot of people were really quite shocked. So folk are finally starting to try to do something about it. I mean, for goodness sakes, even Monty Don, all of last year on Gardener's World, kept talking about plastic, although he still uses it, but never mind. So I thought, let's have a little look at the bathroom to start with. It's a bit small in there for filming, so I've come out here into the living room. Now then, what shall we start with? Let's start with soap. Soap. Look at this lovely bar of soap. Slightly excessive packaging with the string around it, but never mind. It is really easy to buy soap these days, just wrapped in paper. You won't get it in the supermarkets. For example, a number of years ago I used to like using Pears soap. Cardboard box, great, you open the packet, the soap inside it is wrapped in plastic. Why? I'm going to stop trying to go why, but I can't help it. I'm flummoxed about the amount of excessive packaging and waste we create. So yes, it's becoming really easy to pick up bars of soap without plastic packaging. My little local health food store even sells soap loose. So the soap comes in a box, maybe 48 bars. It's a cardboard box. The box is opened. There you go. Help yourself. Buy your bar of soap. No packaging for me, the consumer, whatsoever, and just cardboard for the retailer. And the retailer can put the cardboard out for recycling. Great. So if I do get my soap in a paper wrapper, rip the paper wrapper up, straight into the compost bin. So that's a really easy swap to make straight away. Why we still have these liquid soaps in pump bottles, all that plastic in the pumpy nozzly bit, hideous. And I was reading somewhere recently, and I should have made a note so I could tell you, but you can do your own research if you're interested, in terms of, we seem to have become an era of being utterly germ-phobic. And people are like, well, I don't want to use bar soap because of the germs that get left on it. I want to use the pump. Well, what do you think is going to happen when your hand pumps on the top? That contact. research shows, look it up yourself, that using bar soap is no more germy than using a pump soap. So ditch the pumps, the plastic, yuck. Get yourself a bar of soap and a piece of paper. Also in paper now, just my little bit of packaging. It's one of my favourite things. Oh, the smell's divine. I keep it in the paper bag. This, my friends, is my shampoo. It's all it is a little block of shampoo, and it comes in a paper bag. Give it a quick squid between my hands, wash my hair, I'm done. Soap just goes back in its paper bag and sits on the side of the bathtub. What could be more simple? And another thing I found in the last couple of years is that I used to buy into that whole kind of shampoo conditioner thing. But really, my hair doesn't need a conditioner. I mean, every now and again, I might give it a condition. You can use oils, all sorts of things. But this whole buying a bottle of shampoo and a bottle of conditioner, there are so few of us who need it. I know there are going to be some of you out there who've got really dry, frizzy, curly hair, for example. I know that my friends, my African, Caribbean friends, all use a conditioner because their hair is incredibly brittle and delicate. So if you need it, of course, have it. But most people, like me, we just don't need it. And I notice that by not putting conditioner on my hair feels better. It just feels more, it's hair. It's not coated in gunk. So yeah, swap to a shampoo bar. They may seem expensive. So this one, this little tiny cake of shampoo cost about the equivalent of 3 bottles of shampoo, but it lasts for ages. And here's the thing, it lasts for about the same length of time as 3 bottles of shampoo. So if you think about the amount of plastic in 3 bottles, yay, dead easy. Loads of places are doing shampoo bars now. So this one happens to come from Lush. I like Lush, you know, they're fine. There's a Lush in one of the train stations that I use. So it's really convenient for me because I'm passing through there anyway. I can just go and pick it up rather than having it done by mail order, creating even more waste. But I've noticed more and more recently, I get it on my Facebook newsfeed all the time, companies now doing solid bar shampoos. So have a little look, have a little play and experiment, find one you like, and be happy knowing that you're reducing your plastic and making less waste. Now, so I've had my bath, I've washed myself, I've washed my hair, I get out of the bath and I want to look after my skin, so I use my lovely calendula oil. You'll have seen, I've talked about it loads, hopefully you'll have seen the video. It's a very simple cold maceration process, so I'm not even using electricity or gas to produce this. Totally cold process. Couldn't be more simple. Almond oil with the calendula petals left for a few weeks. I managed to find some bottles from a company online. Finding lids was a bit more difficult, finding non-plastic lids, but they are out there. And I looked again recently, so I've had this bottle lid set and a few more for, I don't know, about 3 years or so now. But I've been getting asked by friends and family more and more often if I'll make oil for them and balms for them. So I had another very quick look the other day online to see what's out there in terms of containers. And it seems that there are so many more companies now to choose from in terms of going either glass or metal. So that's great. It really does feel that, from what I've seen in the last few weeks, the difference between, say, even just 4 years ago is huge. I'm so glad that this is becoming easier and easier and easier for folk. So that is just the infused oil. I use that all over every time I've had my bath. Yes, I use it on my face even. Oh, I want to talk about that in a second as well. I'm going to set it aside to remind me. So yeah, absolutely all over. And then, oh look, it's getting pretty low in there, isn't it? You can see. Can you see? I've not got much left. this is my Calendula Balm. So this is the one that's had the addition of some beeswax and some coconut oil. It lasts for ages. And this I use for things like if my lips are feeling a bit chapped, especially at this time of year when we're in and out from cold to hot. I use it on my hands. You know, if I've been in the garden all day and I've come home and washed, but I've had a really good scrub, so I use it on my hands. What else do I use it? I get little patches of a sort of like almost an eczema psoriasis just above my eyebrow there, and just on the nape of my neck and my hairline. I notice it's coming. I literally just the tiniest dab at bedtime. Next morning, absolutely tickety-boo. So it's great on eczema, it's great on psoriasis, it's fantastic on nappy rash, it's great for nurses' hands, it's great for gardeners' hands. So yeah, it is really thick. And when I've given it to friends in the past, the first time I've used it and slathered it on, they're like, oh, it's so greasy. It's not greasy, it's oily. It does take a while to go in. So I wouldn't, for example, if I was at work and I've just washed my hands after lunch and then I want to sit down and do some writing, I wouldn't put it on then because I will be a bit slippery for a while, but it's great at bedtime. And my cousin's wife, who gets really bad chilblains in the winter, when she's singing to her horses at 4 a.m, she loves it and swears by it as well. So, again, glass jar, metal lid. The ingredients come in packages which are either glass or paper, so very little waste there. And everything I get that's paper, I literally just tear it up and chuck it in the compost heap. Brilliant. So we've had our bath, we've had a wash with our soap that came in paper, we've washed our hair with some solid shampoo, we've moisturised and we feel lovely. Now it's time for deodorant. It's going to look so weird and manky and dinky. You see this little lump? It started off like that, almost like the size of a bar of soap. That's my deodorant. So again, I use a company where I can buy solid bar deodorant, comes in a paper packet, absolutely zero plastic, and the tiny amount of waste there is in terms of the paper bag, again, shredded, compost bin. What else? I've got all my little props here to remind me of what to talk about. Yes, cotton buds. So I don't really use cotton buds much these days, very, very rarely, but I have a few on hand. I probably buy a box that lasts 5 years. But this was another bugbear when I was going plastic free. It's easy enough to find a bud with a paper stem. What do you call that stick? This bit's paper. That was relatively easy. But the packaging, it's all got blimmin' plastic in it. So in the end, I've suddenly forgotten the company's name. Oh, for heaven's sake, Vivi, if I remember it, I'll tag it on later. But the best I could do is these come in a cardboard box. It's all cardboard, apart from a tiny little, like sort of 2 centimetre window, so you can look in to see the product. That's a little bit of cellophane. But again, it just seems silly to me because if you're buying cotton buds, you know what a cotton bud is. I don't need to see inside the box to know what I'm buying. I'm buying a cotton bud, for goodness sakes. So they could just get rid of that little cellophane window and then the whole box can go in the compost heap. So I'm all lovely and clean, I'm all moisturised, I'm deodorised, now it's time to clean my teeth. And of course, as you know from previous videos, I swapped to bamboo toothbrushes ages ago. I get mine from this company, Save Some Green. I've had them from other people. I'm not fussed who I get something from, I just want to know that I've got the right thing. So really easy swap. You may find, I find the bristles a little bit, they're less hard wearing than on a plastic toothbrush, so I do go through them a bit more quickly. So let's say with a plastic toothbrush you might replace it every 3 months. I find after about 2 months I need to replace these. But look how they arrive, fantastic. It's just paper packaging. So it's that thing to think about. It's not just the item you're using, like the toothbrush being full of plastic, but it's the packaging that it comes in. And we all know those hideous toothbrush. Again, why do I need to see the toothbrush through a big plastic window? Just put it in a cardboard box and flog it in a cardboard box. And if needs be, put a little picture of it on the front. That's enough. So yeah, when you're looking for your bamboo brushes, do make sure that they're supplied in paper. Ask the company how they're supplied. And then my toothpaste is it's a coconut oil based toothpaste. So it comes in a glass pot, metal lid, and these are great pots. I save these and I reuse them for balms and other stuff later on, because that's the other thing, isn't it, with any kind of packaging. Before we throw it away, can we reuse it in some way? I know probably the vast majority of you hoard your jam jars. That's an old jam jar. Any pots like this, we keep them and reuse them. Brilliant. And when we throw away, it should be the last resource. The last resort, is to throw something away. And if you can throw it away in your compost bin, all the better. So now we're moving stuff. We're going to talk bottoms for a minute. I hope no one is going to be offended, but we all function, so let's get over it. So these are the loo rolls I buy. It's all post-consumer waste paper, so it's recycled. I think most of us are familiar now with the idea of recycled paper for toilet tissue. But what I like about this company as well is that all this packaging, you say, oh my goodness, that's a lot of packaging. So even in your local supermarket, you probably are able to buy recycled loo roll, but the chances are that the packet it comes in is plastic. So what I love about EcoLeaf is it's basically made from, I think it's some kind of like a potato starch, something like that, I'm not entirely sure. So when I open up my bag, take the bag off, I literally chop the bag up, little pair of scissors, goes straight into the compost bin. It's fantastic. So far, with all these products I'm using and talking about, the only thing that's gone in the bin so far is that tiny little cellophane window from the cotton bud box. Everything else has gone in the compost bin, or it's been reused as a pot for something else. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about ladies' stuff and men's stuff. I don't know much about the men's stuff, so we'll have to just think aloud as we do it. So in terms of our female bathroom needs, let's say I get to the age of 80. That means that for about half of my life, pretty much half of my life, I will have at some point been menstruating. 40 years of waste from sanitary products. It's a huge amount when you think about it. Now you multiply that by all of us who are lucky enough in the developed world to have access to sanitary products. It's a huge, huge area of waste. So we need to be really, really mindful about it. And we can go from one extreme to another. So, and I know this won't be to everyone's cup of tea, as it were, but if you're really, really, really wanting to get rid of all this waste, you can go down the route of using a moon cup, which is reusable over and over and over and over and over again. Pretty much zero waste. If that's not for you, and I understand for a lot of women that won't be, and for example, I know from my Muslim female friends that they won't use an internal product, they want to use an external product, so that wouldn't be right for them either. But just staying with internal products, just looking at the manufacture of tampons, oh my goodness, it's not just the waste we create when we use them, but the processes involved in using or in making them, such as bleaching. Oh, so unnecessary. Why are we bleaching tampons, for goodness sakes? So, wherever you can, go for unbleached cotton, unbleached organic cotton, even better. That's what I use. And the company I use is called Natra Care. And for example, with their applicator tampons, it's all wrapped in paper. So none of this plastic nonsense. The cardboard tube is all paper. Again, all of that could just be ripped up and put in the compost bin. All their boxes are very, very simple, all cardboard, all made from post-consumer paper waste. Yay! Now, for those of you who, like I say, my female Muslim friends won't use any of those products, if you're using an external product, there now are some great pads available which kind of flap underneath your knickers, and there's almost like a press stud to do them up. Finish using them. Actually, there's one company that makes them, and they also come with a dinky little wash bag. So when it's used, just put it in the bag, get 3 or 4 ready to use, and just whack it in the washing machine. Simple, isn't it? This is just reminding me actually of something else I do, and I don't have it in front of me because it is in the washing machine, is just talking about makeup and makeup removal for a second. I don't really tend to wear much makeup at all. Bit of eyeliner and mascara when I'm filming, just so that I can communicate a bit more easily because my eyes are so little. To remove it, I just use a bit of almond oil, plain almond oil. But instead of using cotton wool, I should have them out of the washing machine to show you, and maybe I'll show you how I make them one day. I make my own little pads. If you imagine, let's imagine ravioli, but about maybe 8 centimetres square. Using some really, really old cotton that's been washed and washed and washed. So, for example, if my handkerchiefs fray too much because I use them over and over and they get washed over and over, perhaps an old pillowcase which is beyond repair, that sort of thing. What you're aiming for is some really, really overly washed soft cotton, 2 layers, and then in the middle I just put scraps of wadding from whatever sewing project I've been doing. Sandwich them together, use those instead of cotton wool balls. And again, I've got in my bathroom under the sink, I've got like a little drawstring bag, so that as I use them, pop them in the drawstring bag. When there's 5 or 6 of them in there, pop it in the washing machine with any other wash, good to go again. Yay! So like I say, when it comes to men, I don't really know about men being green, because I'm not a man. I don't live with a man. I've got no man to pressure to be green. But I think, the obvious thing to think about is shaving. I suppose the most green thing to do would be to have facial hair, to not shave at all. But I know that is not for a lot of people. So I would say if you're a guy shaving, I think you can, like with my soap or whatever, I think you can get a solid block shaving cream foam these days. So rather than using an aerosol can of foam, then perhaps that could be a swap you could do, is go to a solid block. I think you need a little brush for it. It's like my granddad used to do. You brush it in the soap and then brush it on your face. I have vague memories of that. Oh, my granddad. And then when it comes to the actual razor and the blade and handle, you see adverts all the time. They're always trying to reinvent razors. At the end of the day, you find a razor you like, stick with it. Stick with that handle for as long as you can. Now, I don't know, because like I said, I've never really researched it. I don't know what will be better environmentally, whether an electric shaver would beat a wet disposable razor. I'm really not sure. But it's something you can look into if you're interested. As I say, I obviously haven't really looked into that because it's not a pressing need for me because I don't have a beard. Yay! So anyway, that's pretty much it for the bathroom. Lots of easy swaps. I think some of them are really, really easy. Some of them may take a bit of just finding, especially in your area, where can I get this product, where can I get that product. But once you've identified somewhere that you can get it, away you go. And obviously things like the balm, the oils, I recognise that a lot of you simply will not have the time to be doing that. If you've got kids and family responsibilities, it's so hard. But have a look around. There may be things you can buy that you haven't made yourself, but they're coming in glass jars. Again, let's get rid of the plastic jars, for goodness sakes. I would like, in time, to export for myself, making my own shampoo bars, soap, making my own coconut oil, toothpaste, all those sorts of things. but I never seem to find the time. So I do appreciate that a lot of this can be all about time. So don't feel guilty if you can't make your own things. Source as responsibly, as sustainably as you can, and just start to make a few little swaps here and there. And if we all do it, wow, the impact collectively will be massive. And here ended the sermon. Honestly, I hope it hasn't felt like a sermon. I don't want to sermonise. I just want to share my experience of having gone this route a few years ago and found it quite difficult, to getting to a stage where it's much easier now. I take all this for granted. I do it all without thinking. You know, I understand that making any changes initially can be a bit like, oh, a bit daunting, a bit time consuming, but trust me, I started to make those changes, it just becomes easier and easier until it's absolutely bog standard normal life for you. And think of all those turtles we'll make happy by doing it. Okay, well, I hope that's been informative, interesting, illuminating, whatever. I know I'm going to get a gazillion thumbs down for this video. I don't care, because it's important stuff to talk about, so there we go. Now I'm going to say cheerio to you all. I think I'm going to go on the computer and start to look up recipes for making my own shampoo bars. That will be a really useful thing to do in the next half an hour. So, on that note, I really will say cheerio to you all. I hope I see you all soon, and have fun getting on with your indoor winter projects. Take care, everyone.